If you watched one of my most recent videos, you know that I've decided to embark on my own little project called the Mech Marathon. This just horrific idea involves building a mech for every single LEGO theme ever made, and the way I got this list of themes was through Bricklink, or the Brickset website. Now, this alone sounds bad enough, but today I'm going to make it even worse. During my research, I found that the CMF, or Collectible Minifigure series, is only categorized as one LEGO theme, which to me seems a little bit like a shame, because there's 42 different CMF series containing a total of 684 minifigures, and to put that down to just one is going to be really difficult. And when I say difficult, I mean financially, because that figure would very likely end up being Mr. Gold. I quite like having both my kidneys, you know? So I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with it. I bought a random sealed CMF from the 3 most recent series that LEGO have released, and no matter who is inside each of these CMFs, I was gonna build a mech for. So let's start with, as I'm recording this, the most recent CMF series, Marvel Series 2. Now, Marvel is a very interesting theme to build a mech for, because you're probably aware they already do quite a lot of different types of mechs. So there is a good chance that this character may already have a mech, and I don't even really know who I want from this series, so this is really going to be a shot in the dark. So I guess let's have at it, let's crack it open and see who the first mech of the video is going to be. And it's that guy! Wait, who is that guy? Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't been keeping up with Marvel that well the last couple of years. I don't know who this guy is. He's got an Ant-Man helmet, so he might be related to those movies. He's also got a physical Ant-Man with him, which, to be honest, might be a bit of a bigger indicator. But yeah, it just looks like this is going to be quite a boring mech. But then I had an idea. Maybe I don't build a mech for this figure. And no, I'm not cancelling the video already. I'm still building a mech for what you see in front of you. Just not the minifigure. Yep, that's right. For the first mech of the video, I'm breaking all traditions of the normal types of pieces that I use to build these mechs, and instead I'm building a tiny one for the Ant-Man statue figure. So with the legs, we've just got these hinge plates instead of the normal, like, fixed hinge bits. To all the people complaining in my last video that these don't have posability, this one does! And just got a nice bit of colour on there. It's probably a bit too big for the scale of a micro figure, but it works. You can see the torso here is constructed with more of those hinge plates, and just a Travis brick holding both its legs together and its arms to keep that one stud wide body. Obviously I can't use the same cockpit parts, so instead I've just got this 1x1 clip, which you can just flop down, get your statue, and stick him in. And he looks quite comfortable in there. With that put up, you can still see the head just over the top, like with any other mech. And with detailing to the arms and the back, that's the mech done! Yeah, this one's quite simple to start off with. They do get more complicated, but just some lightsaber hilts and a different wheel cap just to get in some of that silver, mixed in with the dark red and of course the black base colour. Quite a simple mech, as I've said before, but I like it. It's just a cute little thing. Nice way to get the video started. And he's got his thumbs up for some weird reason. Anyway, moving on. My next challenge was the 3rd Disney CMF series. Now this series celebrates 100 years of Disney, so out of those 100 years, I had to whittle it down to make a mech for just one character. So who is it gonna be? Let's tear open that bag and find out. It's just like when I go for a run, I've got a Stitch. That was horrific. Yes, it's the little science experiment himself. Now, I think you can tell what's going to be the most interesting part of this mech. Stitch has got 4 arms. Mechs don't typically have 4 arms. But that's about to change. So, I kick off the mech with some blue feet and some little dark blue toenails, and with a shorter leg design than what I normally go with. Because I don't know if you can tell, I don't think Stitch is going to be joining any basketball leagues anytime soon. And with that, I just added a load of different red pieces on to make it a bit more detailed, along with some black macaroni bricks to represent his belt, and a little bit sticking off at the end for his tail. Or it might just be more of his back spikes. You can see on his chest plate I've got his little emblem there. I would have liked to use the diamond tile, but somehow that piece does not exist in yellow, which is kind of weird. But anyway, Stitch himself actually does not fit in with his forearms, so I may or may not have had to rip them off. Anyway, you can see I've done a nice bit of detailing to the back, including those blue spikes which do represent what's on the back of his torso, and a little bit more red mechanical detail. And you can see I've added 2 bits on either side, which will allow us to have our 4 arms, which looks a little something like this. Again, nice and detailed on the underside just to give a nice round shape. I really like what I did with the hands here, using these flower pieces off of a bouquet set. They represent his claws really nicely. And with a bit more detail, that's the mech pretty much done. Again, a couple more of those emblems, mixing in a little bit of dark red just to make it not look super boring. But I think this guy looks super cool. And of course, he does need his guns as well. Only 2 was included in the minifigure, but there would have been 4. And to be honest, I'm not totally happy with them, because they probably are a bit too simple. But they do give those nice ridges that the actual Lego piece does, even if there's too many on these guns. But there you go, that's the Stitch mech, another one down in the books. And if you're enjoying these mechs, make sure to subscribe, because a lot more are coming. Anyway, moving on to our final mech of the video. And for this final mech, we're going back to the basics of what a CMF is meant to be. Just the regular numbered series, the most recent of which being number 24. Let's cut it open and see who we've got. Let's drumroll one more time. Our last mech of the video is indeed, if I can get it out the bag, well, I already know who it is from the cape. But yeah, it's the Orc. Now this is a really cool figure. It really gives me that fantasy Warhammer vibe. And I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler, but this is probably going to end up being my favourite mech of the video. Basically, just an upscaled Orc as a mech being like a super crazy battle machine, pretty much. Let's get started. It's also going to be the only mech that follows the design I established in the last video. If you look carefully, you can actually see that the back of his feet are made from car engine pieces. But the feet were never going to be the exciting part. Let's move on. Now I'm starting to bulk up the ankles with a bit of olive green. Olive green, dark red, and a little bit of reddish brown are going to be my key colours used here, which I think work for a nice little combo. And you'll soon be able to see I wanted to make him as jaggy and spiky and dangerous as possible. You can see with a little bit more of that dark red padding up there, I used a lot of these teeth pieces to represent different bits of clothes, which I thought was a nice little touch. Now obviously this mech won't be able to hold the accessories that the minifigure did, so I kind of just attached them onto the bottom section here, with his initial shield acting as a belt buckle, which I thought was a really fun idea, and the swords just hanging down his legs to give him a little bit of that metallic flair. Moving up to his body, you may notice something which at first may not be that big of a deal, but to me really was. The chest armor piece that he's using is in dark red, and that piece is exclusive to one set. This one. Yeah. Because this set is brand new and it took ages for Bricklink to upload the inventory so people could sell this piece on its own, I had to buy this horrific thing just to get that armor piece. Please like the video. Anyway, we got some arms on and a little bit more back detail in there as well. Something will be attached to the back later on. You'll just have to wait and see what that is, or just skip in the video, whatever. Now it's time for our Orc to get wham. Look at the size of those arms. You can see I'm actually using different car pieces on the arms. These are now car bonnets, and some interesting old Chima pieces in olive to represent his fists. But his fists need fingers, and we also need to get some more of that dark red on here. So I've got some lovely bionicle pieces and some big tentacle parts to give him that crazy spiked look, and I think it's really cool. But he needs some weapons, so I kind of just threw on 2 massive battle axes so he can fly into battle with. I think this guy looks sick, but as I said before, I think something can attach to the back. Now, the logo on this guy's shield is a very interesting skull, because it shares the skull with an old castle theme, that being the fantasy trolls. And those trolls have flags themselves, so I bought 2 of those flags and made them as little banners for the mech, creating this. I think this is super cool. Yes, it's way too tall for my little studio setup that I've got here, but besides that, this guy's pretty rockin'. So there you have it. I took these 3 figures from random CMF packs and turned them into these pretty awesome looking mechs. And now my plan is to do this for every single CMF series as well as every single LEGO theme. So I'm just not sure what happens first. I finished Mech Marathon, or the sun explodes. Who knows?